The other one that I read was John Heyman saying that John Gibbons will be back for next year. Do you have any?
I was wondering if he actually photocopied the column that Shai wrote last week that said the same thing.
Right. Snap. We've heard this a couple different times. We've heard it from Shai. And sometimes we believe it more when it comes from some American guy.
Yep.
But do you believe it any more than you did, say, 2 weeks to a month ago?
Nope.
No.
No, he's coming back. I mean, for me, it's hardly a consideration. You know, none of what happened this year on the bad side is John Gibbons' fault. And he remains a strong tactician. He runs a bullpen well. He does the things that a manager is supposed to do. We can't evaluate the behind-the-scenes magic stuff, but we can evaluate the tactics and the reasons behind them because we talk to him all the time, and he's very strong. And so, stability is an important thing, and if you've got a good guy, hold on to him.
Mike Wilner here on Tim and Sid. Mike, it's a funny atmosphere right now in baseball in that you look at what Atlanta just did.
Yep.
Now, Atlanta in July were a game back of Washington, and now they're 17. So obviously the Braves had some things go against them. But they just fired a GM in Frank Wren. The first GM they fired at all since 1990.
Some stability there, yeah.
They were a wild card team in 2012. They were in the NLDS in 2010. They have fired their GM. It is interesting how some organizations place the bar and how the Jays are potentially looking at this. Is that a fair comparison? Because I find it interesting how other teams go about their business.
Well, I think you have to take a kind of a deeper look into things rather than, okay, they were in the playoffs 2 years ago, they've missed the playoffs 2 years in a row, and therefore they fired the GM. I think there's a lot more to the story.
There's some bad signings there. I'll grant you. There's some things that didn't go their way.
Bad blood there too.
Yeah.
2 horrible signings there in Ugla and BJ, and some bad luck. It's true, but also there seems to be a little bit of underlying behind-the-scenes-ness going on with Frank Wren and the quote-unquote Braves way, and how those two things seem to run at odds with each other, in the mind anyway of John Sherholtz and Bobby Cox. They're also, and I think that probably more than anything else is what led to this. I mean, he had the job for 8 years. He took over a team that when he came to town, they had won, 15 out of 16 division titles or something like that. And the team has certainly taken a turn. But I really think there was more little front office politicking and stuff like that was involved in this than simply the fact that they were there and they finished up the track this year.
All right, let me get to Sid's question then. Do Alex Anthopoulos and John Gibbons deserve to be here for the third year of this 3-year plan?
Sure. I don't see why not. I mean, I saw that, I can't remember who pointed out on Twitter today, whether it was Brady or whether it was one of you guys, but about not having Kevin Pillar around for 2 months while they kind of ran through Darren Mastriani and Brad Glenn and who's the other guy? Nolan Reimold.
His name was Other Guy. It was his actual real name.
He turned into the other guy.
Yeah.
But as I said at the time, aside from Glenn, Reimold and Mastro had at least had success in the major leagues doing what they wanted Pillar to do, while Pillar was carrying it up in the AAA, but for not the first time, and he hadn't had any real success in the big leagues yet. So I don't think that's a fireable offense. I don't
just
think,
not being good enough, though, Mike.
Well, they weren't good enough, but it's because, again, the backups of the backups weren't good enough.
But that's organizational depth, and you could pin that on Alex Anthopoulos.
You can't, though, because no team has that level of organizational depth.
Baltimore had it.
Baltimore didn't have it.
Oh, they had it, Mike. I know we can't see Baltimore. They're far away right now. They had something.
Yeah, no,
Caleb Joseph.
They had more depth than Jason.
What did Caleb Joseph do this year?
Caleb Joseph was
out of the Jays.
and a huge part of keeping that rotation pretty consistent.
Caleb Joseph hit 221.
Yeah.
With an on base of about 270.
And caught a damn good game, though. Like,
How do you know he caught a damn good game? How many
Buck
games did you
Showalter
see
says he
Caleb?
catches a good one.
What's
Don't
Buck
ask me. Ask
Showalter
Buck
gonna say?
Showalter.
Come on.
Ask the manager of the team, Mike.
What's he gonna
Who the
say?
hell am I? I'm quoting the
He's gonna say
manager.
that. Look,
That's a first-place team with depth. You can't tell me these guys in ivory towers don't deserve to get let go. You can't.
I don't think anybody's in any ivory tower anyway.
Well, there's some nice towers here.
It's a good way to get the people on your side by
there's
quoting
nothing
Ivory
new.
Towers.
Ivory
Right.
towers is a great way
Right.
to do that.
But look, I mean, it's Buck Showalter says Caleb Joseph calls a great game. What's he going to say? The guy's hitting 221, and the pitching staff is I again can't remember who I went over this one with. I think it might have been Bennett. But the pitching staff, the starting rotation has a worse FIP. How about that? It'll drop some FIP on you than the Blue Jays does.
FIP.
The difference between the Orioles and the Blue Jays. Here's the
Luck
difference.
is luck.
No, it's not luck. 18, 19, whatever, however the hell many games it isn't luck. The difference between the Orioles and the Blue Jays, plain and simple, is the Orioles have a better bullpen. The Orioles hit more home runs, and they catch the ball a lot better than the Blue Jays catch the ball. That's the big difference.
To play
That's
better
why
defense.
Their FIPs are the same, but the ERAs are so wildly divergent. That's why. And also, let's not forget that the Baltimore Orioles, Nelson Cruz, Nick Markakis, and Adam Jones, prior to the clinching of the American League East, missed a grand total of 4 games between the three of them. 4 games between the three of them, the best hitters on that team. So, the best hitters on the
Where's
Blue
Manny
Jays,
Machado in that mix?
Or Matt
Manny
Wieters.
Machado's,
Where's Matt Wieters in that mix?
they're 4th and 5th. Matt Wieters is a 230 hitter with power who gets on base a little bit. He's a fantastic defensive catcher. But Matt Wieters has never been.
I'm sorry, did you
Matt
put
Wieters
Chris
to
Davis in that
Matt
mix,
Wieters
though?
to be. I would, but he hit 200.
Right, okay.
Chris Davis had a terrible year this year.
Okay.
But look, their 3 best hitters played every day.
Listen, Mike, we're running out of time, so I want to try and find as I often do with you and Sid, I want to find the middle ground. The problem that a lot of people
About
have.
like the 15th floor of the Ivory Tower.
Yeah, I want to find the 15th
A lot of
floor
ivory towers.
of the Ivory Tower, and we'll take out 13 for bad luck and maybe a couple 7.
Great washrooms in the ivory tower, by the way.
They got the 3-ply there.
Amazing.
3-ply. There has got to be some sort of gulf, some sort of contrast between if they weren't managed better or they didn't have the internal depth and or talent, then something's got to give. Do you understand what I'm saying by that?
The players have to play better. They have to stay on the field.
But maybe they're just not talented enough.
Yeah, but I don't.
Maybe
think
the
that's
manager's
true
just not
because
getting enough from them.
That's a whole other conversation that you can't have inside a couple of minutes.
No, I know, but I'm trying to find some sort of middle ground here. That's what I'm trying to find.
The middle ground is the truth of the matter is that when Brett Laurie got hurt, what they did not do is have anybody on the left side of the infield who could catch the ball, and that cost them a lot. You run through Juan Francisco basically from the middle of May till the end of August, and from that point he might have been the worst hitter in Major League Baseball, and he didn't contribute anything defensively at all.
But
That
that's
was
where
a
Anthopoulos
huge
is fair
problem.
game, Mike. That's where Anthopoulos is fair game. Because you're right. Why are you putting Juan Francisco out there day in and day out? It's not like there were other left-sided infielders available between July 31st and every day before that. That's where Anthopoulos is
true.
very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because Juan Francisco is an embarrassment of a baseball player. Could do one thing well. I can do one thing well.
And they kept trying to beat it. Like they had this
they
dead
kept
horse.
thinking
And
it was going to come back, and they did. They beat that dead horse for a good 6 weeks too long. And yeah, you can criticize for that, absolutely. But I don't know that he's the difference between the
but you
upgrade
just said
on
third.
Juan Francisco that you could have gotten is the difference between the Blue Jays making the playoffs and not.